Thank you. Can everybody hear me okay? Everybody can hear okay? All right. Um, so thank you for the introduction. My name is Lisa. I have been at Tranquility Place for around the 7 years, but I've been with Chartwell for almost 17 years in February. So I've seen lots of different changes over the years, but the one thing that stays the same is the process that people go through when they're looking to make a change. Um, like you mentioned, some people come through the door and they're very excited for a change. And I call it a new chapter in life. But then there are people as well that struggle a little bit more to make a change. And for some people, it is a sense of loss of independence. But um, actually, from looking at a new lifestyle can come a lot more independence, being able to make choices and choose what's best for us. So I'm going to present today kind of on strictly retirement. I'm going to touch on just briefly the difference between retirement and long-term care, because there is a lot of misunderstanding on the two styles of living. So the biggest thing when people come through the door is I'm trying to really figure out, what are you looking for? What's most important to you? What style of living suits your needs and wants? Tranquility is unique in the aspect that it offers three styles of living here. So a little bit different than most retirement communities. And our sign says residence, but I like community because I do feel in a setting like this that we are one community. It doesn't matter which style of living that you're residing in. We're one community within the Brantford community. So our styles of living here would be independent, and would also be independent supportive living. So there is a big difference, and a lot of people don't realize this. So if you're looking to make a change where your independence is really, really important to you, you don't really need a lot of care options, but you're looking for more support options. So things like maybe cooking meals is just getting a little bit difficult for you. That can be added in. Maybe it's just the idea of being with other people. For instance, over the winter months, it's really, really hard to get out for some people. They're looking for something that they can walk out their door and again, have a community kind of at their fingertips. So for us, we have two kinds of independent living. They're both apartment style living. Those are the apartments that, they're full apartments. You kind of come and go as you like, but you can add in things such as meals and housekeeping, but no care. Care can't be added there. The other style of living here is independent supportive living, and it's really important to kind of understand the differences. So independent supportive living is, again, it's going to support you as your needs change, and be able to stay in the community for quite some time, actually, without having to look at more long-term care situations. That's the part of the community where care happens. So our nurses are here 24 hours a day, lots of support. But again, we celebrate that independence piece because it's so important to us. So the biggest thing for people to really think about is, how am I going to pick the right home for me? Because there's lots and lots of options, and each one of us are very different. Who can help you with this process? There's a lot of the time that families are involved, but sometimes they're not involved for whatever reason. It could be, just not in the area, or family dynamics, things like that. So that's why we're here to kind of help you through the process, whether it be a family coming in with their loved one that's looking, or the loved one themselves just coming in, taking that step and finding out more. So it's really important for us to find out kind of what you're looking for so that we can match it up. The other thing that's really important is to know the advantages and to understand what those advantages mean. Is it going to be something that is going to give you um, happiness, peace of mind, all of those things? Um, do your research, visit places, find out what everybody has to offer. Go in, go on a tour. If you see somebody sitting in a chair, ask them, how do you like it here? I'm kind of looking at some options. See how you're engaged when you're in the building. Are the staff interested in you? Are they happy to see you? Those are all things that you need to kind of look into. You also have to be very mindful that each home is very, very different. So you want to almost have a list of questions that you can kind of go through. And there's lots of those lists available out there on the internet. You can also go to the Chartwell website and find out all sorts of things. There's questions to ask. There's even financial tools to help you with budgeting, things like that. And thirdly, have a plan. Have a plan. Is it my plan that I want to move into a retirement residence today because I need it? Or is it something that I don't want to go through another winter at home? So maybe we're looking today. But if we're not looking today, that's okay. I've been working with people, believe it or not, for 8 years. and then all of a sudden, the time is right for them and they make that jump off. So it's really important kind of to have a plan as well. We talked a little bit about the styles of living and what Tranquility offers, but there's other options out there too that other homes offer. So some places will offer independent supportive living and memory, maybe a memory living neighborhood. Some places don't offer care. They're strictly independent with, services at their fingertips. And some people are looking at long-term care and they're not really sure, because you don't know till you know what that process is. We get people in all the time thinking that we're long-term care. And when we say no, they kind of get deflated a little bit. But we say it doesn't have to stop here. We can talk a little bit more about, again, finding the right fit, because it's so important that we find the right fit for you and you understand what you're looking for. Sometimes it's not even our locations, and we'll refer to other locations in the area. We're here for you. Whether it's something that you're looking at Tranquility or not. I call it the journey, and it's a little bit overwhelming sometimes for people. So you ask the questions and bring lists, things like that when you're looking. I touched a little bit on the long-term care, and I'm not going to talk too much about it, but there is a huge difference that people just don't know sometimes. So retirement, you basically you walk through the door and you go on a tour and you decide, how does it feel? Does this feel right for me? And then you make a decision. There's no outside agency, there's nobody else involved but you and whoever is supporting you through that. Long-term care, on the other hand, the wait's very, very long. And a lot of time people think it's their only option, but they can go on a list for long-term care. It could take years, depending on the situation. And there's lots of things to take into consideration there as well. And those are all questions that I support people with as well every day. Again, doesn't have to be Tranquility Place, doesn't have to be Chartwell. The idea is that we're here to support you through the process. And we want to support people. We want people to ask those questions and have a great understanding about what they're kind of looking at. When you're going on a visit, the biggest thing that I suggest, again, is see how it feels. Like, does it feel good to me when I walk through the door? Did I feel welcomed? Are people greeting me? Is the person that's taking me on the tour, are they really listening to what I'm saying? Or are they just kind of walking me through the whole building? Because that's not necessarily fun either. If your goal is really to find out one key piece, we don't want to overwhelm you with every great detail that the community offers. But you do want to ask those questions. You want to, sometimes it's nice to have somebody to go with you, a second set of eyes. Um, and like I said, make lists, get brochures, ask the questions, because again, every community is very, very different. Some of the things that people, I would say the biggest piece from my experience is the social aspect. And, unfortunately over COVID, and I think everybody can relate to this, including myself, we were really isolated, a lot of people, especially if a person's living on their own. There was a lot of isolation there, a lot of loneliness, and a lot of unknown and uneasiness, which isn't a nice feeling. So the social aspect has been huge for people. And there has been a lot of almost negative misinformation shared about retirement and long-term care during COVID, because it's such a scary thing. But what they weren't mentioning is all the benefits that our residents received. So for instance, you're at home and you are at home. There's nobody else there. Excuse me, I'm just going to turn down my phone here. Whereas here, our residents were able to walk out the door, see other people. They could still go to the dining room. There was lots and lots of precautions made. We haven't had any cases, thank goodness, of COVID here. And the residents, again, were able to connect. And some places had people kind of isolated even within the retirement residence, but because we're a larger community, we were actually able to accommodate people in the dining room, things like that. So our residents actually had a very high level of social interaction during the pandemic so far. So it adds a lot of value, I think, to this style of living. And it's about choices. It's things like, meals are important to me. I hate eating alone, and it's so hard to find a nice meal. I like to be with other people. I find that, I like to be engaged. I'm social. Or you could get somebody that says, you know what? I kind of like my own space. And I like the idea of being able to have my space, but to choose how I want to spend my day and who I want to spend my day with. I'm just kind of going through here. It's kind of as you can tell, a little bit of a loose presentation. I kind of like to do things a little bit on the cuff, so we can answer some questions if people have them afterwards. The other thing is finding out the services, right? So the nursing services. Is there somebody there 24 hours a day? Who are they? What are their qualifications? Do I feel safe and secure? Do you offer an emergency pendant? So if I'm struggling or something's going on, I push my button and somebody's there to help me. Or is it completely independent and I have things at my fingertips, but I don't need the care portion? Do I want an apartment? Or do I want something a little bit more like a studio that has the special things that are important to me, but not a huge living space? Do I want housekeeping? Do I want activities? And do I want, the peace of mind that comes with this kind of style of living? And do I feel comfortable? Do I feel safe? All of those questions should be considered when you're looking at a decision there. And it's also really important to kind of look at the decisions. Well, you can make decisions. So sometimes what happens with us here is because of our styles of living, people may wait just a little bit too long. So they're looking for an apartment, but they've waited, and over the time their needs have changed. So we now are looking at something a little bit more supportive. Timing is key. Right? If you're coming into a retirement residence, you're starting a new chapter in your life, which can be absolutely fantastic. We want to do things at a time in our life that we can actually enjoy what's offered to me. It's picking the lifestyle you want, the quality of life, the variety of services. The style I just mentioned of living, the environment. Do I want to be a participant in everything that's going on? Do I want to belong to a community and have that sense of family and fellowship? And do the services kind of evolve with me as my needs change over time? Is there support there for me while things change? Because nobody wants to make multiple moves. It's a huge decision to make a move in the first place, right? So, and what is the quality of life that I'm going to have? What does this look like for me? Um, the other thing that brings people in is they're feeling less safe at home. So maybe, their mobility has changed and my bedroom is up, a flight of stairs. I'm not really comfortable with those stairs. Am I struggling to do the tasks of daily living? Can I get out and get my groceries and do my meals and housekeeping, and in some cases for those that are living in a home, take care of the property and things like that. And can I count on my family and friends to help me out? You know, do we want to kind of put that on friends and family, or do we want to kind of say, hey, I got this, I'm in charge here, and this is kind of, what I'm looking to do, and then asking for family to support you through that decision. And I'll just give you a little bit of stats. So, um, Brantford has a pretty lengthy long-term care list. So a lot of the time people are looking at what does that list look like and where would I be on that list? And in the meantime, while I'm waiting for my name to come up on that list, am I okay being at home? Or do I want to come into something a little bit more supportive while I'm waiting for that kind of placement? People will be with us for years and years and years. And our residents range from 60s to 103 right now. So it's a very broad group of people that are living here. And Chartwell in itself, I mean, we have many, many properties. Everyone is going to be different, but we have about 170 residences, and that's 45 would be in Quebec. There's about 14,000 dedicated employees, and there's about 26,000 residents in our community. So those are a lot of people that we're really trying to work with and make their lives better. So that's a little bit about kind of what I wanted to share with you today. I could keep talking forever, so but I think if the timing is right, then I'll cut it off there. Does that sound about right?
Sorry, I had to unmute myself.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
sure. I mean,